Chelsea are champions of Europe. Music to the ears of every Chelsea fan across the globe. Not so much when you're talking about rival fans. Welcome to the show, the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. My name is Solomon Fowowe, and it's really great to have you guys join us on the show today. Yes, so many great things happened this weekend, including the UEFA Champions League Finals between Manchester City and Chelsea. Ended up in a victory, 1-0 victory to Chelsea, courtesy a goal by Kai Havertz in that particular one. Many people have spoken, extensively, given their opinions, written think pieces about, what went wrong and what went right in that particular game. People have spoken about the brilliance of N'Golo Kante in that particular fixture, and boy, oh boy, that man is brilliant. I actually tweeted on my Twitter feed that, do we Earthlings actually deserve Kante? It talks about the brilliance of that man and so much that he has achieved in just a short while. And he was so potent in that particular fixture. And, other things that people have spoken about, Guardiola overthinking, Thomas Tuchel being a wonderful and amazing, tactician in this particular one. So there's so much to dig into today. But let's start with Kante. Just talking about Kante, it seems as if there is no stopping Kante when it comes to, this past few months that we've had so far. And many people are already propping him for, what you would call the Ballon d'Or this season. Well, because he has done so well with Chelsea. Chelsea won the Champions League. Maybe, just maybe, it will be a lock-in for it if he does absolutely brilliantly in the Euros, come summer this year. So N'Golo Kante really showed, his brilliance in that particular game in the finals. Playing against, this Manchester City side with so many great technicians in the attacking midfield line, Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, and there's also Bernardo Silva in that one, even Riyad Mahrez cutting in, Sterling cutting in, and even Foden playing as a false nine. You could talk about the false nine system being the absolute, what really is set up against someone like N'Golo Kante in that particular fixture, and he's shown quite brilliantly. There was a passage of play that really came to my mind, and it just epitomized the brilliance of Kante in that game. Mahrez was with the ball, he was trying to dribble towards goal, and the way Kante waited patiently before he nicked the ball off Mahrez was just a beauty to watch. Absolutely genius display in that particular fixture. So N'Golo Kante is just beyond what you can put into words, the brilliance of the French international. So it was absolutely instrumental in that victory for Chelsea, and props to the likes of Reece James in that game, Kai Havertz, and also Mason Mount, who actually gave the assist for Kai Havertz in that particular fixture. And moving over to another talking points in that fixture is Pep Guardiola's overthinking. Now, I know there's a bit of hindsight in this, and all of this overthinking talk, stems from the fact that he didn't play a defensive midfielder in this fixture, not going with either of Rodri or Fernandinho in that fixture. I think it was against what you would call conventional wisdom, because 59 out of 60 times that Manchester City have lined up this season, there was either Rodri or Fernandinho in the lineup. And the only game where he didn't play any of them was in that game against Olympiacos, in the UEFA Champions League group stage game. You could call that inconsequential, but a game of such magnitude, you do not expect, a team to line up without a defensive midfielder. But he is Pep Guardiola, when you go through the thinking behind, the possible thinking behind this, you're thinking maybe it's because Chelsea is what you call maybe an ultra-defending side, very tight, very difficult to break down, and you want to, get a whole lot of creative players in, because you're thinking, okay, Gundogan might be able to create, De Bruyne might be able to create, Mahrez might be able to create, Foden might be able to create, and even Bernardo Silva might be able to create in that background, just trying to break the lines of the midfield and defense of Chelsea in that particular fixture. But you're also thinking that this is a Chelsea side that is very, very good when it comes to counter-attacking football. For all of his flaws, for all of his problems, for all of his foibles, Timo Werner is still a very potent attacking option when it comes to counter-attacking football. The way he understands and interprets space, the way he gets into space, his pace too is something really, really potent when it comes to the counter-attacking phase of play for the Chelsea side. So you're looking at that sort of passage of play, and you're thinking maybe Guardiola should have played with a defensive midfielder in that that particular fixture. And one of the reason I'm thinking is even from the goal actually highlights the need for a defensive midfielder, because once Mason Mount got that ball, there was a channel that was open that got the ball through to Kai Havertz. Maybe if there was a defensive midfielder in that game, we wouldn't have gotten all of that. Now, another excuse you could give is the fact that Kevin De Bruyne got injured in that particular fixture, and so the City side were not as creative as you would have expected them to be, because yes, he's like their most creative player in that side, but it was a collision between himself and Antonio Rudiger, I think in the 60th minute, and he couldn't just continue that game. And he's actually a doubt for the Euros this season. At least it's almost certain that he's not going to be playing in the group stages, so we hope he gets well soon in that particular one. But even before the injury, Kevin De Bruyne was not his efficient self in that fixture. For the first half and even down to when he got injured, he just couldn't stamp his authority, his dominance on that game. Maybe that was due to the brilliance of N'Golo Kante, yes, but De Bruyne just wasn't good enough in that particular fixture. So I think there's so many things to pick and choose when it comes to the reasons that things panned out the way it did. But what you can't take out is the brilliance of this Chelsea side, the brilliance of what Tuchel has done with this side. He has put together a side, came in just middle of the season, put together a side that got to the finals of the Champions League and won. Boom. That's really, really huge. So the onus is on him to continue, stuff going into next season now. But I think, Chelsea absolutely deserve, to be called champions of Europe right now, because they have put every step right, yes, ever since, Thomas Tuchel, came back into this side. They've shown hearts, they've shown guts, they've shown togetherness, something that was a far cry from them when they were being, managed by Frank Lampard, in just before Frank Lampard was sacked in that one. So congratulations once again to Chelsea in this particular fixture, and maybe, just maybe, Guardiola comes back with Manchester City, sometime next season, because you're thinking this is what would have, sealed his legacy as a City manager. It's a 5-year project that he has had so far, and the holy grail had always been, he winning the UEFA Champions League with Manchester City. He has won everything you can think of aside the UEFA Champions League and maybe the Club World Cup in that one. But it doesn't take away from the brilliance of Guardiola as a manager. 3 of the last 4 Premier League titles, he has led Manchester City to that. And even this season, he won the Premier League title with 12 points. Yes, just 12 points ahead of the person in second, the team in second, that's Manchester United, and with what you would call an unorthodox system. So I think you could give him a pass for this one. Maybe he overthought, maybe he didn't, but I think some of us are speaking from the point of hindsight, because Manchester City actually lost that game. Well, hopefully they'll be able to come back, next season if, they're in a good position for them to come back. And, this is where a whole lot of people speak about, Pep Guardiola being a checkbook manager where he throws money at most of his problems, because you're already hearing of, Manchester City signing Harry Kane. You're looking at this side and you're thinking the current side as it is, will they be able to get into the UEFA Champions League next season? Maybe I do have my doubts over that. That's what we can take on the show today. Congratulations to Chelsea once again. My name is Solomon Fowowe, and this has been The Nutmeg.